Hello and welcome to part 5 of module 20 in our C language series. Today's session is going to focus on finding multiple solutions using the node removal method. And in order to employ this method in our code, we need to incorporate three things. One is pop the last node off the backtrack stack. We need to remove the node from the database, in our case the array, and we do that simply by replacing the city names with empty strings. The third thing we need to do is to reset all skip over fields to 0 before looking for an alternative solution path. Now we didn't do this in the path removal method, if you recall, right? But we need to do this in the node removal method simply because in the node removal method, we are removing only the last node from the solution path versus removing all nodes on the solution path in the path removal method, right? So now let's write a program to find multiple solution paths using the node removal method. We're not going to write a new program. We're just going to modify the existing code. So for that, go to code blocks and we'll open the project. And you need to, of course, look for your project folder, right? Alternatively, you can just do this, open an existing project, and you can then just click on the CBP file, which will also bring up the file itself. The first changes we need to make are in main.c. We need to introduce two functions, one to clear the skip over field, that is reset the field to 0. So let's put in a comment here saying node removal, and we need a void clear skip, right? That's one function. And the other one is void retract, which is going to remove the node from the database, in our case the array. We need to send in char star from char star to, right? And of course these are the names of the cities, as you know, so we will just put in empty strings there, right? I'm just going to put in a line there indicating that's the end of the requirements for node removal, right? Now in the main function, we've got this, right? You can just essentially copy this entire thing. Actually, you don't need to type that in again, right? So we just paste that here, and instead of using path removal, we just change that to node. Now within the code itself, we are calling is flight, then we are calling route. Now after this particular route is printed out, we will call clear skip to reset the value of all the skip over fields, right, in the database. Once we've done that, then we check if top of stack is greater than 0. Then we will call pop, which will remove the node from the backtrack stack. So we'll send in C1 and C2 as well as D, which means we're going to introduce these variables here. C1 will be of 20, C2 will be of 20, and we'll have integer D equal to 0. Okay, of course we'll have to send in the address here, so that's ampersand D, right? Once that's popped off, then we can call retract, sending in C1 and C2. Okay, that completes the changes we need to make in the main.c file. Now let's go to the rest of fns.c, and again we've got to introduce those same functions, right? So declare them here. You can just copy that, Just copy the declaration. Right, so these 4 lines, and then just put that in here. Right, once we have that, then we need to define these functions now. So you do that right down here. Void clear skip first. And we just have an integer type variable here, int x. Then we have a for loop for x equal to 0, x less than f post. We're going through the array, right, and x plus plus. And all we need to do is flight at position indicated by x dot, and this will be skip over equal to 0. That's all. Right, now we have the code for the next function, which is retract. So void retract, and that's bring in char star from and char star to. Within this function, again an integer type variable, and then for x equal to 0, x less than f pos. Again we're going to the array x plus plus. Within the for loop, we will check if we have a match, right, for from and to. So if not strcmp flight ar at position indicated by x dot from comma from, and not strcmp again flight ar at position indicated by x dot 2 comma 2. So if we have that match, then we will use memcpy. So memcpy flight ar x dot from empty string. That's just 1. Remember that 0 plus 1 character. Memcpy flight ar x dot 2, right, again empty string 1. Okay, and then return. That's all the code for retract. Right, now coming back to main.c, there's one more thing we need to do here, is we need to declare the pop function, right, because we're calling it within the main function, right? So you can see that we're calling it here. You can just copy it from rest of fns, the declaration that is. Right, so just copy the line where the function is declared, and you can put it in after that comment, right, so that you know this is required for node removal. Now we need to comment out the code for the path removal method before executing the node removal method, right? That's all we need to do. Let's build, run, put in the origin and the destination. We have the first route or the first solution path. We have the second solution path. This is actually the worst one. It's 5,000 miles. And then we have the shortest route, 2,600, right? Now if you press N again, you get a 0, right? And so we quit. Okay. So that's how the node removal method works. Again, you can play around with this program after the session. Moving on. Now going back to the lost keys, write a program that finds the lost keys described in the first session. To do that, We go back to code blocks and we will start a new file. You can actually, before doing this, just close this project so that this is saved, right? And then start a new file. I think that's better. C++ source. Next, this drill already, right? Put in some file name, but make sure you're not within the project. You can see here I'm still within the project. Click on this particular icon, you'll go up one level, and then put in the name of the file. So let's say find keys. Right, and finish. Okay, so hash include stdio.h and then hash include string.h, hash define max of 100. We're going to be basing the code on the code we used for the flight booker. Okay, it'll be very similar. Now we have our struct, right? We'll just call that rooms or RMS, and the members here will be, or you can just say room parts. That's better, I think, so that you understand what this actually means. And we'll have char from 20, char to 20, and then char skip over. Okay, we need another structure for the stack. So struct stack, and that will be from, or rather char from, right? Again of 20 bytes, and char 2 of 20 bytes, right? And now we can have structure variables, right? So struct rm underscore paths, right? And let's call this room root array, room root r, that will have max number of elements, right? And then we have struct stack, bt stack, again having max number of elements, right? Now our functions, we'll have void load r, right? Then we have void add room root, which will take parameters char star from and char star to, right? And then we have two functions, push and pop, to manage the stack. So void push, which will again have parameters char star from and char star to. Incidentally, the entire code for this program is in one file. You're not splitting it between two files here. Void pop will have char star from again and char star to going in as parameters, right? Then we have our function, just as we had is flight, right? We'll call this is keys. And again, that's going to take char star from and char star to as parameters. And we need find connect, right? Connecting root, char star from, char star to anywhere will be the parameters. And of course, find direct. If there's a direct route to the keys, char star from and char star to, being the parameters there, and finally the root, right, which will give us the root from the stack, just as we did in the flight booker project, right? Now our main function, within main, we need to call load r, right? After we've loaded the array, then we can call is keys sending in. Let's start with front door, that will be underscore, comma, keys. Okay, and then of course we call root to print out the solution path. Now load r is the next function, right? And just like for flights, we're going to be sending in the rooms, if you will, right? Starting of course with the front door and the living room, the arguments in this case. So add room path or room root, right? And this will take the front door, right? And the living room. Okay. Then we call add room root again. This time the arguments will be living room and hallway. Okay. The third time we call it, the arguments will be living room and this will be kitchen, right? The fourth time we call add room root, the arguments will be hallway and bedroom 1. Right? The fifth time it will be hallway and bedroom 2. And then the sixth time it will be hallway and master bedroom. Now we'll call add room root and the arguments will be bedroom 1 and hallway. And again we call add room root, right? And here we'll send in bedroom 2 and hallway. And then add room root, sending in master bedroom and hallway, right? And then add room root, again sending in now hallway past the bathroom. So if you looked at the room layout, we go past the bathroom to the kitchen, right? And then we have add room root, and this will be past bathroom to the kitchen, and then finally it will be add room root and this will be kitchen to the keys, right? Okay, now we're done with load_r. Next function is void add room root, and this will of course have char star from and char star to coming in as parameters. Within this function we check if fpos. Now have we introduced fpos there? No, so we need to have that variable here, right? So here we have int fpos equal to 0, and I'm going to put in find pos as well, right? Initialize to 0. Okay, we also need top of stack, so int top of stack equal to 0, right? Okay, so continuing where we left off, if fpos less than max, right, then memcpy, and that will be room root r at position indicated by fpos dot from comma from, and the number of characters will be strlen of from plus 1, right? And then memcpy into room root r again at index fpos dot 2 comma 2 and strlen of 2 plus 1, right? And then rm root r, right, at index fpos dot skip over equal to 0, right? And then of course fpos plus plus. Okay, so this essentially will, as you know, have our array loaded, right? The next is the isKeys function. So void isKeys, and that's going to bring in parameters char star from and char star to. Within this function, of course, we have char anywhere of 20 bytes, and we look for a direct route first. So if find direct, right, sending in from comma to, right, then, and you can of course have this whole thing within brackets, right? That's the condition. So if this essentially returns a non-zero, as we know, then we'll push that route onto the stack, push from comma to, and we return, right? Otherwise we check if find connect from comma anywhere, then we print f, this is of course for our reference, from %s and to %s backslash n comma from comma to, and then push from comma to, so we get that onto the stack, right? And then we call recursively the same function isKeys, sending in anywhere and to. right? Hope you're with me. Else, now we've got to backtrack if we don't have direct or connecting. So if TOS is greater than 0, then pop from comma 2, right? And then call is keys recursively, sending in from and to as the arguments. Okay, that completes the code for is keys. Now we'll write the code for root. Int x equal to 0, right? And then while x is less than top of stack, right? Within this while loop, we printf %s, and don't forget to leave that space there, comma bt stack of x dot from, right? And then x plus plus, right? Then we check if x is less than top of stack, then we'll printf. Okay, that will just be printed as a literal hyphen. And then outside the loop, printf \n. And that's all. So that completes the root function. Now the find direct function. So int find direct char star from, and char star 2 will be the parameters. Within this function, we'll have register int x, and then a for loop for x equal to f pos -1, right? As long as x is greater than -1, and then x minus minus. Within this for loop, you check if, and we're using strcmp. So if not, strcmp rm root r, right, at index x dot from, comma from. If we have that match, and not strcmp of rm root r, index will be x dot 2 comma 2, right? So we have that match for from and to. We will, there's no distance here, so we just return 1, right, indicating we found a direct root. Otherwise, if we don't find a direct root outside this for loop, we just put in a return 0, right? This completes the code for the find direct function. The next function we need to write code for is the find connect function, right? So int find connect, and of course the parameters will be char star from and char star to anywhere, right? Within this function, reinitialize find pos to 0 for every time this function is executed, and then while find pos is less than fpos, within the while loop, we will check for a match. So if not strcmp, and we're checking room root r, right, our index is find pos dot from, right, comma from, and we need skip over to be 0 and not rm root r, index is find pos dot skip over, right? Then we will use memcpy and copy into to anywhere. That's our destination. And our source will be room root r, right? Index will be find pos dot to, number of characters will be strlen of room root r, index find pos dot 2, right? Plus 1. Right? And then we've got to change the skip over value to 1. So room root r, index is find pos dot skip over is equal to 1. Right? Now we'll just printf, if you like. This is just for our reference. We don't really need it. You can say from %s and to anywhere %s /n comma from comma to anywhere. Again, this is just for our understanding. You can remove it once you've understood the code. You shouldn't have a problem understanding this code because you've already used a similar code for our flight booker, right? Return 1. And then, of course, we need to increment find pos, right? Find pos plus plus. If we don't find any connecting route, then we return a 0. So this completes the code for the find connect function. The next function we need to write code for is the push function. So void push, and this will be char star from and char star to as parameters. Within this function, we will check if TOS is less than max, then memcpy, and our destination will be bt stack, index is TOS dot from comma from, number of characters is strlen of from plus 1, right? Okay, and then memcpy bt stack, again index is TOS dot 2 comma 2 and strlen of 2 plus 1 will be the number of characters, right? Then TOS plus plus. Else printf stack full or stack overflow, whatever you want to say in your message. So this completes the code for the push function. Now the code for the pop function, and again the parameters are char star from and char star to, right? Within this function we check if TOS is greater than 0, which means we have something to pop, then TOS minus minus and memcpy, destination is from, sources bt stack, index is TOS dot from comma strlen of bt stack TOS dot from, right, plus 1. And then again memcpy, and the destination will be 2, sources bt stack index is tos dot 2 comma strlen of, and you can just copy this, right? Last one, right? Else we can just print stack underflow, right? So this completes the code for this file. Now we can build and run. And there we have the path. Run to living room, to hallway, to bedroom 1, to hallway again, bedroom 2, to hallway to master bedroom, then to hallway, then to kitchen where we found the keys. Right, so I hope that's clear. Again, you can play around with this program, right? This completes our session for today as well as the module. In the next module, we talk about CN graphics. So till then, take care, stay safe. Bye.